Hi there, this is Steve Spurrier. You can join University of Florida Hall of Famer Shane Matthews and also the two-time SEC Player of the Year every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about the Florida Gators, including news, analysis, opinions, and some of the biggest names in sports. You can find him on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or you can watch him live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter.
Well, happy Friday to you, Seth Harp from Harp on Sports. JC, I'm a main man. I don't know if he's the Batman to my Robin or I'm the Robin to his Batman, but we're about to find out over the course of the next 60 minutes. PodUp with Matthews in the morning. You want to be a part of the program, there's a bunch of ways to do it. But first, we are coming to you live from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. You want to fire off a question for JC or myself or both of us, feel free to do so, courtesy of Meldon Law. Facebook Live question, service of Meldon Law, the only official injury accident law firm partner of the Florida Gators. YouTube questions for you. Courtesy of Quality Plumbing, residential and commercial plumbing services, and emergency repair. Since 1984, our name says it all. Also, if you missed the show, you want to consume the show, easy to do so. You can follow PodUp with Matthews in the morning on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Listen on 37 different digital platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and many more. Also, catch out my stuff, Harp on Sports, via that route as well. Harp on Sports Facebook. You should follow, share, and like all my stuff, JC. I'm pretty cute and pretty adorable and pretty smart. And
yes.
I found protein Pop-Tarts the other day. So I'm already swollen, cut, and ridiculous good looking as it is. Now I get to add protein Pop-Tarts to the diet. How about that? Good morning, JC. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Yes.
We got a lot on the docket.
Same to you there, Steph. Do you have a Nashville Predators sweatshirt? What is that? Can I see that?
Western Michigan University.
You're Bronco today. Okay. Got it. I love the Broncos.
Don't ask me why, because we're not good at anything right now.
I love the Broncos. Well, let me tell you what else sucks these days, and I would never leave the show with the NBA ever. But I gotta laugh. The Pistons have lost 25 straight games. And Greg Popovich, the most pleasant man in sports, is 4-23 for the Spurs. He's 4 wins and 23 losses for the Hall of Famer, Greg Popovich. If Tim Duncan never showed up to San Antonio, would we even be talking about this guy in the Hall of Fame? I don't know. Maybe we would.
It's funny that you bring him up because I can actually tie him into football.
Yeah.
Is our Greg Popovich and Bill Belichick the same person?
No, I think Bill's a lot nicer. Greg is he's got to. But see, Bill's thing is that he just doesn't want to deal with small talk in the locker room after a game with people that he doesn't consider that knowledgeable of what the hell they just watched. Whereas Popovich just hates you. He hates you. He doesn't like you. God forbid if you're a Republican or something like that. You know you are the scum of the earth. But at any rate, not to digress, we got Gator basketball today, Seth. We've got we had a game last night in the NFL that had huge playoff implications for the LA Rams. Shockingly, they won the Super Bowl not very long ago, if you remember. The great coaching job by Sean McVay and Les Snead, the general manager there, to keep this team together. And how about DeMarcus Robinson, a former Florida wide receiver who has now basically found a home in Los Angeles and is making waves. He's catching touchdown passes. Stafford loves him. And then how about Stafford? 15 years in the league, Seth. 15 years in the league for Matt Stafford. And he's having just a fabulous year with a very skeletal type of staff. But Puka Nacua has been unbelievable. Maybe the rookie of the year, certainly. And then you've got DeMarcus Robinson, Tutu Atwell. They've done great in LA, and they've got a winning record. They've got an 80% chance to make the playoffs, believe it or not. They play the Giants and then the Niners at the end of the year, and the Niners probably will rest players. So it looks good for the Rams. It looks bad for the Saints. And then we had also last night a bowl game with South Florida, who has turned out a 7-6 record, Seth, out of Tampa. The Bulls. The Bulls.
They won 2 games last year? They won 2 games?
Yeah, right. It's been a great turnaround story. You know, Gator fans take heart because if South Florida can turn the season around, maybe Florida can turn their fortunes around. We had recruiting the other day. People up in arms about losing the number 3 recruiting class to 16 now. But I don't think those ratings are going to play on Saturday. I think what you'll see is the players that they got hopefully making contributions. That's the only hope they got at Florida right now.
And look,
I threw a lot at you there.
No. Look, there's a couple things there. First of all, USF, their coach, that situation, the structure, likable. They're going into a new stadium, or in the process of going through that. So, and look, they drilled Syracuse. I know Dino Babers is gone, but when you're, they're not a blue blood, but when you're a name, a brand, South Florida can hang that blowout win over Syracuse in the bowl game up on the wall. Nobody's going to remember, just like when Georgia Southern beat Florida in the swamp, or Northern Illinois beat Alabama. You remember that in Tuscaloosa.
That was Monroe. That was Louisiana Monroe.
Didn't Northern Illinois get him in there one year too? Somebody out of the MAC got him, like in 2004. But you can hang that up you can hang that up on your wall forever, and nobody looks back on that and says, I remember when Tulsa beat Notre Dame one year in South Bend. You don't get to look back on that and go, well, we weren't very good that year. It doesn't matter. You get to hang that on your wall. So, good for South Florida. You mentioned, I just think the Popovich-Belichick similarities are similar. Not personality-wise, but they had an iconic sports figure, not the greatest of all time in the NBA, but one of them. And they win multiple titles. That guy leaves, and then they're not any good anymore. Brady in New England. So those arcs are very similar of what they've done. I think I think the NFL right now down the stretch becomes fascinating because there's some dangerous teams both in the AFC and in the NFC down there at the bottom that are going to be lurking, that are going to get in the postseason, JC. What last night does with the Saints losing to, of course, the Rams, is pretty much put this weekend's game between the Bucs and the Jaguars, especially for the Bucs, a playoff game. If the Bucs beat the Jags this weekend, Jason, they're 8-7. Yeah. They've got a game lead on the Saints. They host the Saints. You start to look around here a little bit and say to yourself, wait a second, are the Bucs actually going to have a better record with Baker Mayfield and less talent than they had with Tom Brady in his last year?
Well, I think the answer is yes. I saw what they did last week at Green Bay, Seth. You had to be impressed with the way they played. And, Godwin's getting healthier. Evans seems okay. This guy, Moore, I think his name is, who just runs away from people. I think Tampa Bay is finding something offensively, and it's not come easy under Todd Bowles to find anything offensively, my God. But they have a chance to win that division. I think they're going to. I think obviously the Falcons have fallen out of the sky. They're done. I think Arthur Smith is done in Atlanta, and then New Orleans is reeling right now. And so that game next week in Tampa. Now Tampa plays Jacksonville. Jacksonville this weekend is banged up like I don't know what the story is with Lawrence. I think he's in concussion protocol, or has been this week, Seth. So, are the Jaguars going to go with C.J. Beathard? The thing with the Jaguars is that they're still the 4th seed after a 3-game losing streak to the AFC North, but the problem is they can't afford to lose anymore. No. And they do have the tiebreakers on both the Colts and the Texans, but the Colts are playing a team they can easily handle this weekend, and the Texans are at home this weekend. So I like, even with Case Keenum playing, Houston looks pretty good. So Jacksonville has to win to stay on top. It's simple as that.
Well, and you start to take steps back and look at this. So you're right. In the AFC South, I went through and hold on, JC. Did I put the thing over there? Good gracious. My notepad. Give me 10 seconds. Hold on.
Okay. Well, I'll just say while you get your notepad.
Okay. You got it. No, I just want to make sure because I wrote this stuff down because I knew we'd talk about this. Okay. This weekend is the best weekend for NFL games all year. There are, I count, seven games that have multiple playoff impacts, including the Lions at the Vikings, and that's the 7th. The Lions, JC, the Lions can be the 1 seed after Monday night. Can be the 1 seed.
The 1 seed. Well, right now they've got 3 losses, and San Francisco's got 3 losses. They've got 4. So San Francisco's got 3 losses. Detroit's got 4.
Yeah.
So they would need, I think, the Niners to lose maybe twice.
But here's the thing. The Lions go to Minnesota so they can polish off the Vikings, get 11 wins, which would be the first time they've had 11 wins in 30 years. Wrap up that division, be in position to be the top seed of the NFC. JC, congratulations. That's the 7th best game of the weekend. Then you got the 3 in the NFC South: Jags, Bucks, Texans, Browns, Colts, Falcons that you already mentioned. And the one, if you were a betting man, which you are, and so am I, the smart bet is the Colts are in first place by themselves at the end of the weekend. Then you have the Bengals at the Steelers, which the Bengals could be 9-6. If I'd have told you they're going to start the season 1-3, Joe Burrow's going to be hurt and done for the year. Oh, by the way, JT, they're going to win double-digit games with a backup quarterback. So that's the 3rd best game. Then the top 2, Cowboys and Dolphins, 10-4 versus 10-4, which is a potential Super Bowl preview. But congratulations, the 10-4 Cowboys and the 10-4 Dolphins isn't the best game of the weekend because you have a legitimate Super Bowl preview in the Ravens and the
Well, yeah, you do. The Ravens, a lot of injuries to deal with. Got a big win last week. I think that division is theirs. They've locked it up, but now we're just playing for seeding. They would love to have a week off, but they've had so many injuries. Now they lose Mitchell in that game last weekend to an ACL. With the Jaguars, they played on Monday night. That's a tough thing to do, is come back on a Sunday after a Sunday night game and travel across to San Francisco is trying to lock up everything. I don't like Baltimore's chances this weekend. Dallas, Miami is very interesting to me because the Dolphins are trying to win that division and the Cowboys are trying to hold on. I guess, and I didn't know this until after that Philadelphia game, that Dallas has the tiebreaker on Philadelphia. I did not know that they did. But they are still the 2 seed after that awful performance they had last week in Buffalo. And they've got a tough game with Miami. And then they follow that up next week with a tough game at home against Detroit. But the thing is, they're at home. And that's the key for Dallas, as we've all talked about, and I think heard ad nauseum, is that Dallas at home is a whole different animal than they are traveling. And so getting that 2 seed would guarantee them no less than 2 home games if they win. And in the playoffs. So that's a very important thing for the Cowboys. Very important. And they really blew it last week with Buffalo because, the Niners are going to finish the season with Baltimore and the Rams. And they may not play everybody in that Rams game because they'll have already wrapped up the division. I'm not sure. It's just tough for Dallas right now if they lose to Miami to get anything better than a 5 seed. And that would be tough because the Eagles aren't losing to the Giants and the Eagles are not losing to the Cardinals. So you can pretty much pencil in the Eagles to win the last couple of games that they play, whereas Dallas, I'm not so sure about that.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to do an ad read, so I want you to ponder this. The Niners are the only team in the NFL when they're on, you lose no matter what. I want you to think about that for a second. PodUp with Matthews in the morning, brought to you by Duffield Home Improvements, your local roofing, siding, and window contractor serving Gainesville and the surrounding area since 1986. And also Radware, family-owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. Remember, you got Meldon Law via Facebook Live, Quality Plumbing via YouTube, and Titan MRI. Fire off your text via the Titan MRI text line, 352-353-7465. That's 352-353-7465. I'm going to get to your guys' messages coming up here in a second. But to me, in years past, like last year, if the Chiefs were on, JC, you lose. Yeah. I think the Niners are that way. If nobody gets hurt, I don't care who you are. You're not going out there. If the Niners are the team, if the Niners, JC, give you an A- effort, they win the Super Bowl no matter what you do.
Yeah, I don't think they're somebody you can deal with. I think the AFC is down. I would just say as a whole, the AFC is not as strong. Kansas City's not as good in my opinion. Buffalo's got 6 losses, although I would say the Bills. But they also have some injuries that kill them. The Milano thing at linebackers hurt them, but they're finding a way to run the ball. And Joe Brady and Josh Allen are getting it together offensively. And if that happens, and somehow Buffalo ekes out a home game in the playoffs, which is still mathematically a chance to happen, then that's a team you don't want to deal with, Buffalo. Yeah. But Kansas City's lost wide receivers. Their wide receiver core it's awful. Tony's having a bad year. Hardman's not relevant. I just don't think Kansas City is that team that we've seen the last couple of years.
They're not.
I don't think so. But San Francisco, you're right. They are so good offensively, and then defensively, Warner and the boys just lock you down. It's a tough, it's a tough situation in the
I'm
end.
going to give you this because it's one of my favorite analogies from a movie.
Mm-hmm.
What the Chiefs are Rocky and Rocky 3.
Okay.
We're getting ready to fight Mr. T, and they had the beginning montage where he beats all those good to okay fighters.
Well,
and then Meredith does not want him fighting Mr. T. And he says, the worst thing that happened to you happens to any boxer. You got domesticated.
Well, geez,
that's what happened with the Chiefs. That's what happened with the Chiefs. They won a couple championships. They got fat and happy. And they thought that they could do in Kansas City what the Colts did, where Reggie Wayne, T.Y. Hilton, you can bring these guys in and Patrick Mahomes can elevate them. The Chiefs focused on defense, but what was the problem? Sky Moore didn't work out. All of a sudden, Kadarius Toney, you might as well, you have a better chance giving him 2 frying pans to catch a football in his hands.
Yeah, having a bad year.
Pacheco busts up his shoulder, needs to get surgery. Clyde Edwards-Helaire didn't pan out. The Chiefs have done a bad job drafting on offense, and it's finally catching up to them.
Yeah, it is. And the Kansas City, they'll likely have a home game because they'll win the West, but that could be it.
Lose to the Bills. If they play the Bills will beat them in the first round.
Yeah, well, they would. That could possibly happen at KC. Yeah, I would not be afraid to take Buffalo at KC. Not this year. You'll be disappointed in me, Seth. My Rocky knowledge is that I remember the first movie he beat Apollo Creed, and Sylvester Stallone wanted to take the girl to the Flyers game, but then I remember he fought some Russian guy, and that's about my extent to Rocky. So I really hope I don't disappoint the world there. I mean, I just don't watch the movies the way everybody does. But I do remember he beat Carl Weathers. Is that Apollo Creed? Yeah.
In the second one, yeah.
Oh, the second one? He lost to the first one? Yeah. No, he didn't.
That was the life lesson. All he wanted to do was go the distance, and he went the
distance. What's the movie where he broke the 6 eggs and drank them raw out of the glass? Was that the first?
I think he did that in multiple ones.
Okay. I'm sorry, I'm butchering this.
The first one, I think the first one is the best movie ever. In sports wise, the best movie ever is Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift, JC. But no, the best movie is the second Godfather movie.
You're right.
The first Rocky was a draw. No, the first Rocky was a split decision. It wasn't a draw. Creed won on 2 of the 3 cards. Anyway, we're gonna go down a rabbit hole if I don't be careful here. Okay. I wanted to mention the Bucs really quick, and for this reason. We went into the year, and you and I had this discussion, I think, in the preseason. Kyle Trask, Baker Mayfield, what's going to happen here? And, could this be it for Kyle? Could Kyle Trask finally break through?
No.
Talk about unlucky. He gets drafted, comes to Tampa, and he gets to sit behind Brady, and everybody thinks, JC, that Kyle's going to learn behind Brady, and he did.
Yeah.
But Blaine Gabbert was in there, and when Blaine Gabbert beat out Kyle Trask for the backup job, I thought, this isn't good. Fast forward to this year, Baker and Kyle back and forth. What are we going to have? And then the Bucs start off 3-1. They fall apart. They lose 5 of their next 6. Baker Mayfield, they've won 3 in a row. They're 7-7. They host the Jags. You ready for this, JC? Some numbers on Baker Mayfield now. He is on pace. Make sure I get all this right, because Baker Mayfield's on pace for over 4,000 yards passing, 30 touchdowns plus, and a winning record. Hey, JC, not only is Kyle Trask not going to get to play this year unless Baker gets hurt, Baker Mayfield's the NFL Comeback Player of the Year.
Yeah, listen. I can't disagree with that. I mean, that game they played against Green Bay offensively was maybe one of the best games they played in 3 years. I just think they were unbelievable. Green Bay had no answers in Lambeau to stop that offense, and I haven't seen that out of Tampa, especially under this coach, God, in a very, very long time. So it was very nice to see. Jacksonville's in trouble. I think Jacksonville's really in trouble. They really did themselves a disservice losing to the Steelers and the Bengals, and then just laying an egg with Flacco and the Browns. Should have won both those games, and they've really dug themselves into a bad situation. And the season ticket holders, including this one, are not happy there. And they've already asked for a auto renewal on December 20th. What? How about wait until January so we can decide if we want to do this again, because you guys are about to choke this division away and stay home for the playoffs. I mean, now, granted, Christian Kirk being hurt, Jacksonville's just been a mess. But Seth, let me switch gears for you real quick.
Hold on, let me shut off my alarm. Hold on.
God. All right. Well,
God, I can't. You know, it's funny. Usually, I've got all my ducks in a row, and today that was my alarm that was going off on my other computer. It's like, good God.
Did Shane call you at 6:30 this morning and say, "Oh, by the way, can you do the show or something?"
I was up and at him and everything. Like right now, I mean, that was my alarm that was going off on my other computer for some reason, because this is like my emergency backup. Get your butt into work no matter what, even though I'm already up at 6 o'clock. So I worked out and everything done. I don't know, man. I'm punchy today. How about that? I'm sorry. I'll let you continue really quick here because I want to read a couple comments. Andy writes, he says, Seth, Syracuse has to be the worst bowl team ever. Why is McCord leaving Ohio State to go there? It makes no sense. I agree with you on that.
I don't know what
I have no idea either. JC, this is for you. Have you been to Mac's drive-through hamburgers yet? Next to Publix? I've been there. It's right. Well, I don't tell you how close I live to it, but it's in the neighborhood.
Mac's drive-through in Gainesville?
Yeah, I guess that's what he's saying.
I'll have to look it up. I'm in Biloxi, Mississippi right now. I've got a gorgeous view of the Biloxi Beach coast there. Oh, my God, it's so beautiful. And there's a Waffle House right below my room. I'm on the 6th floor at the Hilton Garden Inn. And there is Waffle House. Can't wait. Yep. But I'm in Biloxi. But, yeah, I'll have to try Mac's. I have to give it a shot, you know. Okay. We need some comfort food after that recruiting day. Why did Billy Napier get so testy with my man Edgar Thompson? I'm a big Edgar Thompson fan. You don't go picking on Edgar, man. He's out there trying to get information for the people that support your ass, and you're going to go yell at him for asking a reasonable question. Billy, come on, man. You're better than that. Well, and, you know, come on, dude. I know you don't want to talk about the guys that got away, but how can you not at least discuss the fact that you were ranked in the top 3 class, so-called top 3 class before signing day, and you got rated? Now, of course, you got a couple guys thanks to the collective, all right? But what would we have done without the collective? Would they have signed these kids? I don't know about that, especially Lagway. So, you know, Billy, cool your jets there, dude. You're 5-7 coach, man. And get off my man Edgar. Okay, my man Edgar's trying to do a job. Jesus. I mean, gee, what the hell's wrong with you, Billy? Get off Edgar.
Here's the thing. You're going to need this for about what I'm about ready to say. The segment, PodUp with Matthews in the Morning, is brought to you by the 1966 HBC beer, available at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
How's the HBC feeling right now?
Gator Games in the O-Dome and select retail outlets. Crisp American Lager, the 1966 HBC beer. Okay, I have got people writing in here. Why don't we talk about the Gators? We come here.
All right, let's talk about the Gators. They play Grambling State today.
Guys, hold on here. We mentioned Kyle Trask. I'm trying to give you different Gator angles before we get it, since they spent all day yesterday in recruiting. Buckle up, Buckaroos, because here it comes. Here's the thing. DJ Lagaway is the most important Gator since Tim Tebow. May even be more important than Tim Tebow, because this school right now, Florida football right now, is Michigan State football. It's Nebraska football. Okay, it's lost its edge. It's lost its teeth. DJ Lagaway means as much to Florida as Trevor Lawrence means to the Jags, that Joe Burrow means to the Bengals. They are the golden child. If he does not work out, then rewind 3 more years. It's like when the Bears, Justin Fields, if you miss on a quarterback in the draft, JC,
you're toast.
Screwed. You're a host.
And
unless you're the 49ers, you're looking at Brock Purdy. But guess what?
Right. I mean, they should look. The 49ers deserve to miss. They drafted a guy that's now a scout team quarterback for Dallas. You know, from North Dakota. I had no idea what John Lynch was thinking there when they drafted that kid out of North Dakota State. But he never worked out, and everybody knew it. Yeah. And thank God for Brock Purdy. Otherwise, San Francisco would be, you know, trash. But here's the thing. You know, this thing with Lagway. Now I'm not going to disagree with how important he is. Certainly, whoever's decided to write these checks thinks that as well. But Seth, Graham Mertz is your quarterback next year, and looking at that schedule, assuming that we don't win 7 games, is there any guarantee that another 5 and 7 year gets that coach another year? I don't think there's a guarantee of that. No. And by the way, if he leaves, then what does Lagway do? because Lagway doesn't play, right? I'm bringing up a horrible scenario, but let's say the Gators do what we all expect them to do and go 5-7 next year or 4-8. If that happens, what the hell are you going to do with the coach right now? I think the coach is going to stay. I don't care what they do next year. I don't think they're going to let him go because they don't want to pay him off that contract. They don't want to pay off that $25 million or $30 million. They would owe him $23 million, I guess, after next year. So I think that they're going to let him work out his contract, and so everything will be fine. But Lagway's signing because Florida has the guy that recruited him still in charge, and until that guy is no longer here, I think Lagway is fine. But he's not going to play next year as much. He'll play a little. But look at that schedule, Seth. How many games are you going to say, let's empty the bench out here and let everybody play? Maybe Samford, maybe, although I don't think that's a guarantee either. Look at that schedule, Seth.
Well,
tell me, what the hell are we talking about here?
Here's the thing about, and here's the elephant in the room when it comes to the schedule.
It's hard.
Up until October 5th, there's a good chance that they're favored in the first 5 games. Vegas will have them as a favorite in the first 5 games, barring any injury. Miami at home, Florida will be favored.
Really?
Sanford at home, they'll be favored. A&M at home.
A&M?
At home, they're coming off a new coach. They have a brand new coach, new quarterback, all that. So A&M and Gainesville, they'll be favored. At Mississippi State, that's the armpit of the SEC with Vanderbilt. Chance to be favored. And then UCF at home. But here's the problem. Right now, if Vegas did odds, and I've looked at this, they'd be favored in their first 5 games. The problem with that, JC, underdogs in the last 7. Underdogs in the last 7. So, so what I'm telling you here is if they want to have a successful season, they've got to win 4 of their first 5. Because after that, you don't get into a tougher stretch in all of college football than that stretch in November where it's Georgia at Texas, LSU. Those are 3 L burgers.
Well, I mean, I know that things will change if they do what you're saying and they get off to a fast start and go 4-1 or 5-0 or some crazy number like that. Then things do change. I mean, the team changes, the look at the team changes, everybody's respect level goes up, and then you say, well, maybe they have a chance against these other guys. But I'm still not sure. I mean, I see what you mean. Traditionally, the Florida Gators would always be favored against these 5 teams they're going to open with. Yeah. But I'm not ready to just say, oh, yeah, we're beating A&M. Oh, yeah, we're going to beat UCF.
Oh, no, but they'll be favored against them.
They'll
be favored against them.
Miami. Well, I guess maybe. I don't know if that translates to much, but, yeah, possibly. Maybe.
John says, how would it look if we go 2-3 in our first 4? John, if you go 2-3 in your first 5 games, you're looking at 3-8, 3-9.
Yeah, no. See, that's the thing. So I don't think the Miami and the A&M games are just locks. That's not a lock.
No. But they'll be favored in them. Now you could be talking like 1.5 points. Here's the thing: those 5 games, JC, the Gators will be favored in. Samford is the only one that you have a shot to be favored in by more than 4.
Yeah.
See, so it's that type of season. But what I'm saying here is, everybody's talking about how awful and terrible and the schedule is. Yes, once you get to October, it is brutal. But those first 5 games, what else could you ask for out of the gate? You get Miami at home.
When is Kentucky?
You get A&M at home. You get these games at home.
When is the Kentucky game?
Home October 19th.
So is that the 5th game or something?
It's after UCF or after Tennessee. At Tennessee will be the first game that they will be an underdog in no matter what.
I mean, are they going to be favored to beat Kentucky?
Who knows?
Why would they be favored to beat Kentucky? I mean, they've lost 4 straight to Kentucky. I don't know why you'd favor them to beat Kentucky. But I'll say this. It is absolutely front-end loaded next year. There's no doubt. You're exactly right. But it was this year too. And, they go 5-2 and end up 5-7. So we'll see. I don't know, man. I mean, Shane says quite a bit that he goes, we could have easily won 7 or 8 games. You also could have lost 8 because you forgot about that South Carolina 4th and a mile that they converted and pulled out in the 4th quarter. So it could have gone either way. Look, regardless, it went lousy. Okay. And last thing I need is Coach to yell at my man Edgar. And then you've got this recruiting class that everybody was so excited about being one of the top 3 in the country. Now, it doesn't mean that just because their ranking fell to 16 or whatever it is, that this is just a flop. It's not. Spurrier never had these huge, big-time recruiting classes that were ranked 1, 2, and 3. He never did, but he found guys that understood what he wanted to do, and he found a guy who could coach defense. Spurrier had some good defensive coordinators, dude, and nobody really – I think people need to remember that too. And I think we've got to figure out defense here, man. If you can't figure out defense, I don't care who you play. If you can't tackle, it's not going to go well for you. And so they've got to figure that out.
In this conference, I think you'll agree with me as we reach halftime here at the show. If you do not have a solid front four on defense, you're 6-6 at best. Your front four on defense better have at least one first-round draft pick on that defensive line, or you're not winning squat. You just are.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. And we'll I want to dive into a little bit more on that too. But we've reached halftime here on the program.
Okay. All right.
JC, Seth Harp,
Okay.
Harp on Sports here on PodUp with Matthews in the morning. Brought to you in part by Silverback Concrete, family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by it. I want to look at a little bit more SEC, and also coming up, I'm going to tell you why reducing capacity and changing the look of the swamp has to happen.
I love it.
Has to happen.
I think you're right. I hear people talk. Yeah, we'll talk about this on the other side. You're right. I'll get into that.
And really quick, David, worst takes ever today, total negativity. Fine, David. The Gators are going to go 14-0 next year and win the national. I just told you they're going to be favored in the first 5 games. I just said they're going to be favored.
Hate on me, David. Hate on me. Don't hate on Seth.
That's okay. Come get me. But I don't know what.
Seth's trying to help you. Hate on me. All I do is just, I'm so negative.
JC 14-0 next year, and Graham Mertz will win the Heisman. All right, we'll be right back. PodUp with Matthews.
We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Duffield Home Improvements for your window, siding, and roofing needs. Radware, your local provider of promotional products, uniforms, and apparel. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
All right, Coach. Last year, the best party in Gator Nation was at Spurrier's Visor's Rooftop. But now, we're in 23, we're celebrating this year what the restaurant has planned for this year, New Year's Eve. That's right. We got usual great food here at Spurrier's. We got wonderful music, and it's the best way to ring in 2024. It's going to be at Visor's Rooftop Bar from 7 through midnight to about 1 a.m. We got elevated hors d'oeuvres. We got sparkling wine pairings. We're going to dance to the DJ Elio here all through the night. Got to be 21 and older, but the tickets are going fast. And so, how much are the tickets for? The Visor party tickets are $125 a piece, and trust me, you'll get your money's worth. Now, Coach, where can we purchase the ticket? You can purchase the tickets at www.spurriers.com.
PodUp with Matthews in the morning, rolling along here on this Friday. Double Deuce, 22nd day of December, 2023. Of course, PodUp with Matthews in the morning, coming to you from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. You want to be a part of the program, chime in. Meldon Law, Facebook Live. Your questions, fire away. The only official injury law firm partner of the Florida Gators. Also Quality Plumbing, residential, commercial plumbing, service, emergency repair since '84. Their name says it all. And also questions, fire away, courtesy of the Titan MRI text line.
I got one. I got one for you here on the text line.
Okay.
I know this guy. He goes, listen to this jackass wearing an Alabama hat talking about Gator football. Well, listen, man, I graduated from the Capstone. We all know this, but I always root for Florida. I went there too. I was a graduate student in Florida. But there was a Evo guy, 23 on YouTube, Seth. Did you guys talk about the Ernest Graham comments? Yeah, I think what I heard from Ernest Graham was that he was not pleased with the communication skills up there at UF. And, this was a big day for his son signing at UF, and hopefully things will work out. But those were somewhat critical. But listen, I think you got to get there with a fresh, attitude and a good attitude. You got to be confident and you got to be excited when you sign and you go to school. And you can't be thinking about anything other than being successful and making it a great career. And the transfer portal and the NIL and everything like that is all part of this. But the reality is that if you sign and you're happy where you go, you shouldn't want to go anywhere else. I wouldn't think. Yeah. But it's free agency for sure until they get control of this. And the only way I think they're going to ever get control of this is if they employ these guys. And I don't think that's under consideration yet, but it should be.
The president of the NCAA did bring this up, and he talked about how we're heading down that path. Here's the thing. And, the station that I am the operations manager of, and I listen to people call in and ad nauseum. The one thing, and this is not just the Gator fan base, but when I lived and worked in Alabama and Georgia, I was watching I went down a wormhole the other day, and the Florida Notre Dame Sugar Bowl from '92 was on.
Oh,
and what was and this is all going to connect. And what was interesting about that time frame is that Florida had a chance at the national championship going into that game. If they'd have beaten Notre Dame and Washington would have lost the Rose Bowl, I think it was to Michigan, and Miami would have lost the Orange Bowl to whoever they were playing that year. There was a time where tradition, you could be the 5th ranked team in the country and win the national championship on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, depending on how everything went down. Those days are over, JC. Those days are long gone. That's never going to happen again. When I hear people talk about what we got, let's not pay our coaches as much. It should be a privilege to come to Florida, or the NIL is terrible. We need to get rid of it. Gang, when you have that mindset, you're going to continue to get beat. You need to evolve with the times. You need to look. There's 7, 8 5-star guys in Georgia's transfer portal. You have to embrace what this is now, because if you're trying to hop in your DeLorean to go back to 1985, your life's going to be miserable.
Right.
If you sit here, I'm 44 now. JC, if I'm like, well, I don't have the washboard abs I had, and I can't run a mile, and I can't do what I did when I played baseball back in college. Those days are over. You're not going back to what you were when you were 20. You got to embrace what you are now. And Florida has failed to do that across the board in terms of NIL. I know they're getting there, but they're behind the game. And where we're going with this financially and where the NCAA is going is you're going to have to pay these guys. Florida should lead the charge for legislation, because you have a governor that can kind of do this still. I don't know what it's going to be, but you're suing because of the college football playoff. So you have a chance to actually make a little bit of an impact right now. JC, the only way to make this work across the board is you make them employees. They sign 2-year contracts that are renewable after 2 years. And that's how, and you have to pay them $75,000, $80,000 each. That's the only way this is going to work, because because the Supreme Court has already ruled that they can transfer as much as they want. So if you think, well, guys, the Supreme Court said that's not going to happen. So you need to get over it. It's time to grow up.
Yeah, they're getting paid. They're going to get paid forever. So you're right. Adapting is what brings you success. And Florida was slow to adapt to the facilities upgrades that everybody around them was doing. And it cost them after 2009. And now they were slow with this unexpected, these unexpected numbers of the NIL. They were caught flat-footed there too. I mean, you got to get out of this haze. And you got to get with what the neighbors are doing sometimes on your street, and they haven't been able to do that in two instances. The NIL here more recently, and then obviously with the facilities that they they're refused to deal with, and that goes back to prior administration and so forth. But it's still Florida. So the reality is that you're trying to dig yourself out of this hole, but it can be done. I just watched a green team out of Tampa, Florida last night win 7 games. That was arguably one of the worst football programs in America, just as recently as last year. Come back and have a great little season for themselves this year. It can happen.
Eli Drinkwitz did. Eli Drinkwitz won 10 games.
Oh, yeah. Look at Missouri. Yeah, sure. 10 wins, Sugar Bowl. I mean, my God. It's not Sugar Bowl. I'm sorry. They're playing in the it's a
Ohio State and the Cotton, don't they? Is it Ohio State?
Okay, it's one of those Peach Bowl Cotton. Okay, sure. But the point is that look at the turnaround story. You get a couple players there, Luther Burden and the quarterback you have, and some linemen up front, and all of a sudden things can change. And I think that can happen at UF. But people have got to get better. There's got to be some self-reflection. This coach has got to realize that 5-7 ain't going to do it 2 years in a row, 6-7, 5. So whatever the hell I think he's 11-14. Okay, he's got to take a look at himself and say, what can I get done better to get this place back on track? Because honestly, the clock is going to be ticking on him. And so hopefully that'll change for him and for the school and the fans.
He's gotten this is the recruiting class fell from 3 to 15. I get it.
Gator fans, they got what they want. They got a couple guys they wanted those, Seth. They got that Lagway, but that was NIL related, really. It was.
But it's one of those things with me. I don't care if it's NIL related.
Yeah,
you got him. All right. Correct. It's like when you outkick your coverage you date. It's like, what's she doing with him? I don't care. She's with me. It doesn't matter. So when I look at it, Larry David used to talk about this too on Curb Your Enthusiasm. When is it Cheryl? No, not Cheryl. Jeff's wife would sit there and say, she's only with you for your money. And he'd be like, so yeah, I'd be with me for my money too. If you see me, I'm hideous. But here's the thing. DJ Lagway needs to be Michael Penix. If DJ Lagway is Michael Penix here, Washington doesn't have top 15 recruiting classes, but they got the right guy, hit the portal, boom, they've got themselves a chance at the national championship. So, but a little bit different.
That was a package deal with the coach, Seth. That was clearly Kalen DeBoer. When they hired him, they knew they were getting that quarterback. They knew that. Everybody.
What I'm saying is if DJ Lagway can be Michael Penix, Florida can be back in that 8-win, 9-win.
They're going to need it. But look, again, I got to say this again. He's not playing next year in all likelihood unless it's garbage time, and I can't see any game on that schedule that's going to have a whole lot of garbage time for the Gators. It's going to be Graham Mertz unless he gets hurt, right? I mean, he got hurt now, but he's going to be healthy, and he's going to be your guy starting the year. It's just as simple as that.
You never know when you could find yourself in like a Tennessee Titans, Will Levis situation where Tannehill goes down and all of a sudden pop. But you're right. It's going to be a lot. DJ Lagway's freshman experience is going to be a lot like Arch Manning's freshman experience, but Texas is a little bit better. Okay. All right. PodUp with Matthews in the morning is a service of Peachland Dentistry, Gator Nation's #1 choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte and surrounding areas. Visit them at peachlanddental.com. Friday, Peachland Dentistry, JC's and the QB weekend picks. I guess we'll dive into that coming up here in a second. Also, Dovetail Home Improvements, your local roofing, siding, and window contractor serving Gainesville and the surrounding areas since 1986. All right. I wanted the stadium. I got to be careful about this.
Well, I don't have to be. I'll tell you what I think. It's great.
Because I'm not worried about
Thank God they did that.
The wrong thing. I'm just because there's things that I know that I get. Let me tiptoe here. All right. We know it's going to be at least, how about this? I know it's going to be at least $400 million. I know it's going to be over multiple years, this renovation. I haven't seen the schematics yet, but I've been told what they're going to look like. What is this obsession with fighting evolution in progress? Because this is what I get. All right. This is what I hear. Whether it's my podcast, hey, don't change the swamp. Don't reduce. You can't change it. You can't change it. Gang.
It's going to be better.
You've been in that press box. What's hanging up all over the walls in the media room? Pictures of the old stadium. And you can go chronologically and go, okay, that's what it looked like in the 30s. That's what it looked like in the 50s. That's what it looked like in the 70s. That's what it looked like in the 80s.
Right.
The one
it's gotten better. It's always gotten better.
Constantly changing. So this love and obsession, like somehow you guys think that Lambeau Field. You're not Lambeau Field.
It's not. It doesn't look anything like it. Doesn't look like anything Bart Starr played it. Not one bit. It does.
So, Gang, come on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the people are worried about the money situation. You know, this money, why is it going into something like, well, it has to go into something like this. What I think is confusing, though, is it's going to coincide with the Jaguars, what they're trying to do. And it's Jacksonville trying to get involved with Florida somehow to host football games. There's going to be a lot of this, a lot of that, construction everywhere. But I think the improvements are absolute must in that stadium, folks. I mean, you're going to love the new look. And listen, you just don't need, in my mind, now this could be wrong, there are 3 or 4 or 5 stadiums in this league and in the Big Ten that have 90,000 or more seats. But honest to God, if you put 75,000 raging crazy fans in the stadium, you're going to have a home field advantage. And those fans might be a little bit more comfortable when they're not sitting here like this on a little black number on an aluminum bench with 3 guys moving over and doing this and getting over your head and getting in front of you. And it sucks. So anybody who wants that experience, just go down to UCF, sit in that ridiculous little stadium they have, and enjoy that, because that is far and away time. It's time to move on and get some comfort in there, as an old 50-something guy would tell you right now. So I'm all for that, man. Throw the money at it. Let's go. And I mean, you think $400 million is a lot of money? You know, what are they going to do? Float a bond? I mean, where's that money going to come from? We're talking about, you know, raising money is so hard these days. Really, I don't know what they're going to.
Jason, in my 4 years of employment at the University of Florida, I'll tell you this: it's amazing where money comes from. It's all of a sudden like, we have an extra $50 million. What were they? Okay, but no, here's where it comes from. The estimated SEC network revenue, is expected to be within 4 years close to $100 million per school, and that's why Chip Kelly's idea of changing college football with divisions and breaking away was just everybody, I like this idea. It was so far out of reality, because his idea, like, okay, we have divisions and pockets and this team plays here, we can break away and the conferences can stay the same. In order for what he said had to work, JC, what would have to do is every Big Ten school and every SEC school, you'd have to give up your network revenue, because that's where money comes from, football network revenue from the conferences. So you're going to have 34 of your 64 major teams in college football from the Big Ten and the SEC say, you know what? Forget these $100 million a year paychecks from the network. We're willing to take one in the kisser and for the betterment of the sport. Never going to happen, gang. So his idea was based, if you're starting from scratch, you're Florida, you're going to give up $100 million a year to go make 60 so you can balance college football. You'll never, ever do that. So where I'm going with all this is, look, the revenue and the money that comes into this, you look at like some of the more successful businesses, JC, you know this. I know this. You operate as a deficit. You operate in debt. You take out a big loan. You just building football stadiums. They're going to be paying. What did I see? When I was a kid, they built the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis in 1983, right? To lure in an NFL team. You would never do that, by the way, now, JC. You'd never build a football stadium without a team coming. But they built that stadium. JC, they paid it off 2 years ago. 40 years. So that's where the money comes from. It's just where that money comes from. Tim Malone. What's positive about Joe? What's positive about the program right now? I wish they'd give us boosters' choice of where our booster fees go, guys. I know that's just guys. We're talking $100 million. Your booster fee of $50. I know it's important to the university, but that's not what's swinging this at the end of the day.
Well, here's Brandon. Brandon says the Alabama fan is really excited about reducing capacity in the swamp. That should tell you something. Dude, Brandon, listen, man, I've been to more Florida games than you have. The reality is that place is not comfortable unless you're in the hotel or in the touchdown terrace or somewhere on some chairback seat. And as far as the Alabama stadium goes, it sucks too, okay? It's not fun. And unless you're sitting in the nice areas, it sucks too, okay? They're still stuck in the 60s there. So the reality is that you can either be comfortable, Brandon, or you can sit there and have some guy spitting all over you. It's up to you, Brandon. But the reality is, too, there's another financial crisis happening, and that's going to be in Tallahassee. And that's because they think that they're going to get out of the ACC. This came over the wire yesterday. I'm bringing it up because I wanted to mention it today. Florida State's trying to get out of the ACC. The problem they're going to have is a $120 million exit fee and about a $360 million fee to buy their rights back from the ACC. The only way this happens is two things. The Saudi Arabians come in and take ownership, A, or B, they basically get 5 other schools in the ACC to basically say, we're going too. The thing is that where are they going to go? I didn't hear the SEC or Greg Sankey at the SEC championship say we're ready to include some more teams in our conference. That's one. And number two, the Big Ten is already adding 4 teams, something like that. So I don't know what this is about, but I read about it. It came up in many reasonable outlets how they think they're going to get out for $500 million of the ACC. There's no chance of that.
Well,
zero.
Do you know Florida State is the guy that is going into college and breaks up with a girl in high school because he thinks he's going to go to college and score and get all these hot chicks, and then he gets to college and realizes he's 19. He isn't 21, so he can't buy booze. He's
hoping for a swap at the frat house to find a date.
The freshman girls are interested in dating the senior guys because they're more mature, and all of a sudden Florida State's looking around going, welcome to the Big 12 gang. I it's from a guy that's from Big Ten land. JC, they added Maryland and Rutgers to the conference so they could get into the Baltimore, Washington, D.C., and New York markets. Do you think? And they added UCLA and USC to get into LA. They added Washington to get into Seattle. Do you think they're champing at the bit to add the Tallahassee market?
I don't see it. I don't see who's going to. First of all, who's going to write the money? Who's going to pay off their? How are they going to buy back their rights? The only way you can get this done is if you find 6 other schools to join with you at the exit door, and then you got to figure out what door you're going to walk into. I just don't understand this whole concept of leaving the ACC because they're just pissed at the commissioner for balking on the 12-team playoff and at the fact that they ain't getting enough money with their TV deals upcoming than the SEC and the Big Ten. But Bobby Bowden screwed y'all 25 years ago or whenever it was. Sorry, guys. Your savior screwed you when he said, no, I don't think I want to go to SEC. Well, that's just costing you right now, partner. And meanwhile, South Carolina and Vanderbilt are laughing because for some reason they're in the SEC and really contributing a lot to it, I might add. I shouldn't say South Carolina, but Vanderbilt, I'm sorry. I can't stand the fact that they're in this league. But they're patsy.
But they're in it because of Nashville.
And they go send it to their endowment, and they go build buildings in downtown Nashville with it. That's what they do.
But the Nashville.
But they're now building new facilities, I hear, or something like that.
No,
they still have 40,000 fans from the other school at their home football games. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But no, the reason Vanderbilt now their importance is the Nashville market. That's why. Nothing more. Nothing.
What? Nobody in Nashville watches them. I mean, there's nobody.
Doesn't matter. Nobody in New York watches. Nobody in New York watches Rutgers, but you can pump the Big Ten network into 8 million households. That's why. That's why. Cities matter. I'm telling you right now, the Big Ten is more interested in Miami and Georgia Tech than they are Florida State.
Probably.
Because it gives them Atlanta and it gives them Miami. All right, PodUp with Matthews in the morning is a service of QC Kinetics. If you have joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics. Locations in Ocala and now open in Gainesville as well. Also, PodUp with Matthews in the morning brought to you by Ruse Olga State Farm Insurance. Dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go in the right direction with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit ograinsurance.com. Give them a call. 352-240-1779. That's 352-240-1779. And also Campus USA. Got to thank Campus USA. That's who's helping me get my new car. How about that, JC? Campus USA Credit Union. They're awesome.
All right.
Put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. I'm actually going to get ready to go pick up that sucker right now.
Call DJ up and ask him to float you a loan. That way you don't have to deal with a bank. DJ can help you out.
DJ, I'm here for you, baby. I'll teach you the 7 deadly sins of conducting interviews. I'll teach you how to build show structures. I've been doing this 30 years. DJ, come on the Harp on Sports Express. We'll get you your own podcast. I'll hook you up with supermodels. DJ, you get to meet President Obama.
Supermodels.
Yeah, whoever, or former President Obama, former President Trump. DJ, you come with me, and I'll even let you meet people that are dead. That's how influential I am. So that's what we'll have a seance. John Jett, worst show ever. Merry Christmas, John. Here's the thing, John. I get a kick out of John.
Man, nobody in Gainesville is happy. Sometimes when you leave town, it's a great day. I swear to God. I almost felt like killing people when I was driving through traffic in that damn town the other day. Sometimes you just got to leave town, Seth. But
here's what's fascinating about this, and I've always done this. We check the boxes and play the hits. If it's like there's nothing but negative connotations. What do you want us to say?
No, he was saying you're going 5-1, your favorite against in every team you play the first 6 games there, dude. What do you want? I mean, I'm just trying to balance it out a little bit, but sure, I'll say it. Hey, Florida's going to go 6-0 to start the year. Is that what you want to hear? Does it make you feel better? I mean,
no, and look, I know it's the majority, and my job is to be entertaining and to discuss important things.
Sucks. Merry Christmas.
It's funny. It's funny because it's like, where's the positivity? Where's the positivity? If you want positivity, go lick a battery. I'm not in the positivity business. All right, I'm in the entertainment. Provide angles.
Well, they're not entertained.
I always said, JC, I'm the sports.
I love that he added Merry Christmas at the end.
JC, I'm a sports doctor. I come in and diagnose you. You want me to come in and go, oh, your football, if you went to see a doctor, right, you'd want them to tell you the truth. Could you imagine going to a doctor, them going, you're fine, you come back later, my back still hurts. That's right, because you have cancer, but I didn't want to be negative. Come on.
Oh, Lord. Oh, my God, that made me laugh. Who was that dude that said that? I like that guy. Who was that? Who said that?
John and Tim are the two.
All right. I like that.
He said, go lick a battery. You're right. If you want positivity, go lick a battery. All right. It's like, give us credit. I'm not MasterCard. I'm not Visa. I'm not in the credit business.
I think I've laughed more on this program today with you than I have in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, maybe 4, maybe a month. It's making me laugh.
It's funny because this is where I don't let herd anchors drag things down. Because JC, we started talking about this, and I said, look, if DJ Lagaway, you got the best player at quarterback in college football coming in. If he can be Michael Penix, which he could be, this team could be an 8 or 9 win team in 2 years. They're going to be favored in Vegas in their first 5 games next year. And it's like, why is all the negativity?
Don't worry,
JC.
It's okay.
15-0, the number 1 seed in the college football playoff next year. And you ready for this? Florida's going to be so good next year that they're going to get 2 Heisman Trophy winners. The Heisman Trophy is going to go, Florida's so star-spangled awesome. You get 2 Heisman Trophy winners. There you go.
All right. All right. Well, Merry Christmas to you there, Seth. Monday, we're off. So we'll see you guys next week on Wednesday, folks.
Yeah, and then I'll circle back around too. Here, getting into the weekend picks. I think the Bucs win. I think the Bucs beat the Jaguars. Baker Mayfield cements NFL Comeback Player of the Year this weekend.
Yeah, that's big weekend. Big weekend. All right, brother. Have a great
Christmas. Happy Hanukkah.
Happy Hanukkah. Have a great weekend.
This has been PodUp with Matthews in the morning. JC, Seth Harp. Got to thank Zach Rothrock, Freddie Weeby, Shane, everybody involved. Everybody enjoy your weekend. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.